We are the leaders of society. It is us and our actions that make the world what it is. This is not about criticizing government, because we are government. All of your mayors, your senators, your congresspeople, your president comes from the people. If we could somehow raise the consciousness of our people, we will also raise the consciousness of our government. This is a bottom-up solution. Here's the solution. In every area of a city, there's an area that nobody goes or pays any attention to. It's underdeveloped. Every city has this. Hip-hop is asking that you give us that area of your city. Meaning, the same way you have a Chinatown, or a little Italy, or a little Armenia, and little Greece, have a little hip-hop.
Come on. Come on.
Can we get an area in your city where the wealth of our culture is concentrated in one area? Can we get an area in your city where hip-hop is safe? Where people from around the world know that there's a place, a Mecca, that they can come to and enjoy hip-hop. Do you know what that would do to your tourism in your city? To have a hip-hop city, a small section of your city dedicated to the culture of hip-hop. Crime lessons in your city, because all the kids are working in the city, working in the what we call Hiphoppia. All the kids are working there, jobs in the city. If we just focus and create an area for hip-hop in your city. So this is what I believe the solution is, and this is what I leave you with today. Each of us are leaders of the world. Don't take yourself for granted.
That's right.
You are divine, actually. I don't have enough time to get into that, black people. But grab your responsibility. Rise up. Civilization is not technology. Let us be more civil. Thank you. Peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am KRS-ONE, and as you can see, hold on, I'm actually cutting my head off here. Let me back up a little bit. As you can see, I'm in a different environment. I made it to California, y'all. This is what it is. So I welcome you all to the Temple of Hip Hop, and I can't get this smile off my face because victory over the streets is what we dealing with. Not only do I feel good because I made it to California, we did a nice drive across the country. Simone and I drove across the country. You know how that drive is, always dope. The desert, the mountains, even getting through certain towns and cities, so on as you go across. Really fascinating what America is really about. Not really the news and the BS you see on TV and how they got our minds so focused on bullshit. But when you get out in the real world and you get to see what's really going on, get your head up from looking at a phone all day and using your thumbs to getting out into the real world and seeing nature and seeing real mountain and real birds, you know, things like that. And so, you know, we've been working internally. We've been working in urban areas, you know, for a minute now. And it just was refreshing to drive across the country and be able to just take that in and think. So what I want to start off with actually is I wrote this piece out. It's just an introduction. But it gets through a lot of what I'm dealing with. It gets through a lot of my what I want to say, actually. And so I'm going to just run through this real quick, and we'll just start. Well, as you know, of course, peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am KRS-ONE. Now, the Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. Our mission is to preserve and promote and organize the original principles of hip hop. We want to organize these principles into a transferable body of useful knowledge capable of enhancing the health, the love, the awareness, and the wealth of the practicing hip hopper. And also not only the practicing hip hop, but those that mastering the arts, but really the ones who live the lifestyle. That's what I really want to say. Ones who live the lifestyle itself. Minister Sun One, I see the screen split. Is there something you want to jump in, or I'm gonna keep going? Yes, I'm.
Yeah, hold on. I just did all types of crazy. No, there's something going on with your mic. It's very staticky, and I'm under the opinion that you wouldn't want this whole thing to be like that.
Righteousness. Let me figure that out. Let me see. I might have to find a video or something to play while I. Is it still like that now?
Yes.
It's a scratchy.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's an internet connection or the device I'm using?
Could be. It's either or. One of the other.
Let me try to get an alternative going. We may want to play something else while I get this going.
I got you.
Let me try to get that phone going real quick and see what I can come up with just before we start.
There it is.
Wow, that's new. Gina. What's your story, man?
Chilling.
I see how far I get. I wrote a verse to one of your joints. It's totally not finished, but I'll see how far I get. Yo, what's up, G? Welcome to the live. And this is where we get it so hard and popping with beats, rhymes. I didn't bring my full bag of rhymes with me, but I did manage to bring 2 notebooks that will explain today's session. And so here we are. Let's see what we actually get. Hit that beat! Don't you fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Keep your head up, never let them get you fed up. You just step up, get your rep up, get your cash up, get your check up. The whole system's a setup. It's time we really get up. We've been about this revolution from the time we met up. Take it back, I got my fists up, Malcolm X in 88. But revolution only works for those that will participate. You are great, they are fake. Yo, it's time to demonstrate higher level mental states, conscious people congregate. Show the love, not the hate. This is basic, no debate. But these people are debating and they hating. They should wait. It was bickering amongst ourselves that got us in this state. Yeah, the truth is inconvenient, but the truth is never late. You can't see what they be doing, how they thinking, how they moving. You can't see what they pursuing, making claims none are proven. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. We can see who is the enemy. Sovereignty's the remedy. You don't need telepathy, it's white supremacy. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Bringing the raw, doing a tour. Government officials bringing the law. You never see what you never saw. 303, open the door. Knowledge reigns, that is the game. Ignorance, that is insane. Don't fall for it. The reps and the Dems are the same. This one's shooting us up. That one's locking us up. This one got us stuck. That one's out of luck. You can front if you need to, the cycle never ends. No justice, but in 4 years they hyping us again. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. If you thinking and you earning and you drinking and you burning and you really not concerning with the news and what they learning, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. If you love it, never hate it, you agreeing, don't debate it. HBCU educated, your degree is highly rated. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Don't fall for it. Yo, me, I'm not a fake dude. I'ma keep it real. They see through it all that America needs a heel deal. America ain't really sick. This is what it really is. Gunshots and cages for black and brown little kids. Now they acting like they not the cause of how we live. Do not tell me what you gonna do. I can see what you did. Look at her, look at him, look at them, look at me. Do you see our interests represented in society? No, you don't, and you won't, cause democracy's a joke. Every 4 years, these same people asking us to vote. Nothing changed but the Range Rover switching lanes over. I remain the flamethrower, knowledge reigns, game over. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Rodney King, George Floyd, man, we all saw it. So don't protest with defiance, but don't move with self-reliance. While the soul is being silenced for the religion of science. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. If you thinking and you earning and you drinking and you burning and you really not concerning with the news and what they learning, don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. There's no justice in the courts. We are always taking shorts. They can shoot us like a sport, and it's our trust that they want. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Take it up. Take it low now. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it.
Okay, I'm back. Oh, wait a minute. Let me turn this off. Hold on. Check. No, that's whack. Hold on. Help me out here. I turned everything off. Here, let's take that somewhere else. Okay. We getting it together. First of all, can you hear me? Let me make sure you can hear me.
Yes, everything's much better now.
Okay, so first of all, I can't hear you because I have my own deal here. But you can hear me, right? Okay, good. And how's the sound?
Good.
Much better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So then I guess I'm going to fly out like this. This is how it's going to go down. I got this white thing above me here. I don't know what that is. Trying to control this light here, but it is what it is. And hold on, let me just see something real quick, y'all. Ooh, do I want to be dark like that? All right, whatever. So, yeah, you can turn it. Yeah, turn it off. Sure. So as you can see, this is all live, and we're trying to get ourselves together. I think my camera's up here. Good. So just before we began, and pick up to that video, that's a nice little selection to play based on what it is we're talking about today, which has to do with
well, it has to do with the building of our culture. It has to do with politics, sociology, the building of civilization, the building of our culture. And you can see what made me laugh about the video, it was just played, Don't Fall For It, is that it's that kind of message that is now the air, I should say, of the government's message. More and more people that think, I guess, the way in which I think, or the way I've been thinking, more and more of those kinds of people are entering into government positions. You know, and again, I don't know if this is a good thing or whatever, but I welcome it as a good thing because, you know, Kwame Ture once told me, you might know him as Stokely Carmichael, but Kwame, when he changed his name, you know, Kwame Ture, we were touring for a couple of years in the 90s, and he told me that he said, you know, if you win your revolution, if you get what you want, chances are you take the place of your enemy. You don't become your enemy, but you take the place of your enemy. And the question is not so much getting rid of an enemy or getting rid of oppression or getting rid of injustice. The real challenge is, can you do better than the one you are protesting against? Can you provide something better than oppression, than slavery? Can you do better? And so this lesson has been permeating in my mind for many, many years, as we think about and talk about how to raise our culture, hip hop, and solving some of these issues. You know, you think, you know, there is one thing to point a finger and say, man, that's wrong, and this is wrong, and that should be right, and that should be something else, and I feel oppressed, or whatever it is. But in the end, the question is, but can you do better? And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're in the fourth part of our lesson here, both fourth in terms of the track 4 of the Gospel of Hip Hop, but also we've divided up track 4 into 4 lessons, and we're going to read the 4th lesson today and a bit of the 5th lesson as well. They kind of go together. But no, the 4th lesson ends as a lesson, and the 5th lesson, the 5th track, starts a new lesson, and you'll see. We'll read some of that as well today. As you can see, I'm in a little more stable position. You know, I'm here in Los Angeles now, and you know, like I said earlier on, I made it across. It was great, wonderful trip, and a great place to see America. A great time to see America. And see what it really is. I was reading this piece that I wrote so I can get everything on record. Remember, these things, these readings are recorded. So as we record them, we're also putting into record how we did this, how we built our culture, what was said, the consistency of it being said, and so on. So I started out before, let me just say this again. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. Our mission is to preserve and promote and organize the original principles of hip hop into a transferable body of useful knowledge. Did you get that? A transferable body of useful knowledge. We're looking to enhance the health, the love, the awareness, and the wealth of those that seriously practice hip hop or live its lifestyle. Our strategy, of course, to preserve hip hop is to preserve the hip hopper. This begins with knowledge of oneself as hip hop. And as you guys know, those who have been studying with us, you know that when we say, you know, the Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, society. We're looking to preserve not the artifacts of hip hop. There's a place for that, you know that, the objects of hip hop, the things that hip hop produced. There's a place for that. But as a temple, We're more interested in preserving the idea of hip hop, its traditions, its customs, its history, the purpose for it, these kinds of things. So we always make that distinction every once in a while because, people tend to listen to other teachers and other institutions explain hip hop, and then they bring that over to the temple of hip hop and expect us to explain hip hop in the same elementary kind of way. This here, with all due respect to everyone who teaches hip hop, this is the centerpiece right here. This is the center. I am hip hop's first master teacher. First of all, I'm hip hop's first teacher. We made hip hop a teachable subject. Now, of course, I will shout out many others like Hurt Bam, Flash, Grandmaster Caz, Pee Wee Dance, AD from the Cold Crush. What about Rod Digger? What about Rakim? Or what about, Big Daddy Kane? If rap was a school, I'd be the principal. Oh, fuck it. The Kane is invincible. The principal. Well, these people, these names that I mentioned, and others, many others, were teachers of hip hop as well. Can I say Poor Righteous teachers? Can I say X-Clan? These were teachers as well. But KRS-One is the one who proclaimed himself teacher, proclaimed himself the teacher. And I shout out also Poor Righteous teachers. The teacher was in their actual name itself. But for all of us in the 80s coming up, these are what was called titulary titles, meaning that we didn't hold no teacher degrees, we didn't teach at no universities, we just called ourselves teachers because we were the street teachers. We were teaching our community on the corner. Those of us that could had something to say. We would teach on the corner. But when it was time to call yourself something, the king of this, the queen of that, so on, I called myself the teacher because I came into the game looking to teach. That's what I knew I was going to do. We were going to educate our community straight up and down, coming out of the Black Power struggle, coming out of just basic theology and Black liberation theology as well, but also just theology, philosophy, the basics, astronomy, agriculture, the basics. We had to get our people, we was looking to get our people on the right track with this kind of knowledge. So I came in the game with a ton of books, looking to say them all in terms of a rhyme. And so I held myself out to be the teacher. In fact, my first hit record, South Bronx, is an attempt at hip hop's history. The first hip hop history, I give the credit to Gary Bird. Gary Bird, famous, I would call him an MC, straight rapper, MC, poet, no doubt, used to come on the radio back in the days. But Gary Bird did a film called Beat This. Film called Beat This. And in the film, he starts the history of hip hop. He talks about Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash. He kind of canonizes that at the very beginning. I didn't see the film when I wrote South Bronx. I was just in the Bronx, and most people in the Bronx knew the history. So I wrote it up into a song, South Bronx, South Bronx. Later on, and by the way, Justice would follow up too with his own version called Going Way Back. I produced that one as well. But going further on, you start to get clarifications because we started to become scholars of this. And you start to get clarifications. No, it wasn't 71 or 72. It was 73 because we got our flyer. Grandmaster Caz informed me, hip-hop didn't start in the South Bronx, Chris. Hip-hop started in the West Bronx, where you used to live. Wow. These kinds of corrections. We went through about 10, 15 years of these kinds of little corrections. What is hip-hop going to be? Breaking, MCing, graffiti, or DJing? Knowledge and overstanding. Shout out to Zulu Nation, another bunch of teachers. But we had to tweak that. And that had to get, the word had to get out. And most people didn't accept hip hop as that. Most people just wanted hip hop to be music. And that was it. So hip hop's master teacher, named by Zulu Nation, by the way, by Africa Bambaataa and Zulu Nation, by the way. You got to say both, because there's BAM and then there's Zulu Nation as well. Both named me master teacher, no doubt. Cool DJ Herc calls me the son of hip hop because I was there in 73. I showed him my baby pictures, my credentials. He had to give it up right there. Grandmaster Flash is a teacher, teaches me about him. And what was going on back then too. Another kind of story. Shout out to DJ Hollywood, who taught us a great deal back at the Hip Hop Appreciation Week dinner, I think of 2022. Hollywood hit us up. These are all teachers. These are all teachers of hip hop. But KRS-ONE, knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone, is indeed hip hop's teacher, meaning that I made hip hop into a teachable subject. The title was not titillary for me. The title was real. I went ahead and taught. Even though we all said we were teachers, very few of us actually continued the teaching tradition. I went into the universities, started teaching there. Matter of fact, I'm the first teacher to bring hip hop to the universities, the first one. Not bringing hip hop as dance and music to the universities, but hip hop as culture to the universities. That's what I'm known for. I'm the architect of hip hop's culture, actually. We're the ones who put the K on the culture. We're the ones who got the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace recognized by UNESCO. We're the ones that took the hip hop to the United Nations. We did the Stop the Violence movement. We sanctioned All in the Same Gang. We followed up with Human Education Against Lies. We did the Meeting of the Minds, the first time hip hop has sat around. Everybody, the founders, everyone sat around and said, how are we going to preserve this for real and make it into a culture? We were the ones that organized that meeting. This is your temple of hip hop. This is the temple of hip hop. This is the work that we've been doing, the work. And by the way, this is the work we've been doing in the face of disrespect, sabotage, criticism. I don't have to go through, y'all know what it is. But beside all that, the work got done. The work is still getting done. We ain't over. The work continues. And that's what I'm reading about here. And that's what I want to put into the record real quick. Our strategy to preserve hip hop is to preserve the hip hopper. This begins with knowledge of oneself as hip hop. As you may already know, our approach to hip hop is cultural. This is what, oh shit, I'm sorry, hold on, y'all. Oh, word. Okay, I see that. This is dope. Okay. As you may already know, our approach to hip hop is cultural. This is what we teach because this is what we did. We teach what we know to be true because we did it. And we are benefiting from our teachings. Did you hear that? I want to make sure I got that right. This is what we teach. We teach our teaching of hip hop is based on our work. This is why our teachings don't really match up with a whole lot of other people's interpretations of hip hop. Not that we're in disagreement, but that we did a certain work to establish hip hop as culture. And we teach what we did. Now, if we're quoting other schools of thought, we'll say that. Oh, this is from here. Oh, that's from there. But when it comes to the temple of hip hop, this is our uniqueness. And this is why I'm taking this time at the beginning of this read to make these distinctions. We teach what we did. You get it? Now, further on, you can say we also teach what we do. Because you're looking at the teacher. I'm teaching right now, but there's also an action to this as well. Is the teachings really working? They got to work for the teacher. Why am I teaching you something that don't work? See, and we say this often because this is a criteria. This is a standard. Why learn from someone who's not benefiting from their own teachings? So we teach what we did. We teach what we're doing. For those temple members that have been studying with me for over 2 years now, I thank you. Look where we got 2 years. Now, some of you have been 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, almost 20 years. I thank you for your support. But also, you know, I have to also say here as well, before I go forward, I thank you for your support. But don't just sit there and look at me. It has been 20 years, hasn't it? It has been 10 years. It has been 5 years. It has been 2 years. Some of you just got on 6 months ago. It has been these lengths of time. And each time you see your teacher, he's rising. He's rising. Not rising personally. Yeah, of course there's that. There's always that. But no, I'm talking about with the teachings. With the teachings, the teacher is rising with the teachings, which is what makes them prophecies to future generations. They're not prophecies. It's math. It's what you can see. What can you see? What can you visualize and make happen? This is what we're teaching. So like I said, you know, don't just stand there and watch me or watch us or watch the temple. You know, stand on the outside of the temple. You're standing on the outside of the temple watching it grow and say, yo, I used to be down with that. Oh, yo, I'm down with that. Oh, yo, I got my gospel. But you're still on the outside because there's no health, love, awareness, and wealth manifesting in your life. The divine performance should be active in your life right now. The definition should be on your tongue right now. You should know the 3 stages of hip hop, or should I say the 3 spellings of hip hop. You should know what the causes are. And if you didn't just use this as entertainment, your knowledge of hip hop is way more expansive now. Way more expansive. But sad to say, some of us have just watched me. And that's something to point out as well. Don't let your years of being with the temple incriminate you. Let your years with the temple of hip hop exalt you. I've been down for 10 years. Here's 10 years worth of study on me. Here's 10 years worth of study on me. Here's 5 years worth of study. Here's 2 years worth of study. And so, you know, I hope you look at me, you're seeing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years of study. 30 years. It went by like that. Woof. Just like your 10 years went by. We got challenges. What are the challenges? This is part of the plan as well. Just going over it all again. We're just going over this again because some may be new here too. And others forgot. So here we are, you know, when the temple first began, we talked about health, love, awareness, and wealth. That's what we were talking about. We said the reason we're going to break MC, graffiti, write, and DJ is to enhance our health, love, awareness, and wealth. You don't do breaking, MC, and graffiti, writing, and DJing to wind up sick, hateful, ignorant, and in poverty. That's not why we're doing this. But surprisingly enough, that's how a lot of people have trapped themselves. Handling hip hop without proper knowledge, you do wind up in sickness, hatred, ignorance, and poverty. The sinking ship is what we call it. You do end up like that. And I'm not criticizing. We've seen some of our legendary hip hoppers lose their health. I mean, you're living through this. We lived through a pandemic that took like a good 5 of us away, maybe more. I mean, it was more, but I'm talking about celebrity-wise. Those were popular rappers. Snatched us away. The Temple of Hip Hop has been advocating for health the whole time. We put out a record called Heal Yourself. Okay? Health has always been on our minds. We got to get that message to our people. We're getting older. So health is becoming more of an issue now. You know, health care now. Retirement. These things now come into view. That's why we started the Hip Hop Alliance, or should I say Curtis Blow and Chuck D starts the Hip Hop Alliance. They run and go get their homie KRS and names him chairman. I've been leading that for a minute, and it's doing very well over there. Very well over there. It's about to become a real union. Hip-hop union with benefits and health care and all this type of stuff. But we got to file papers, and you got to go through all this little paper stuff. It takes about a year. And then you got to get voted in by the National Labor Board and all these different people. You know, but we've been meeting with everybody. AFL-CIO, the Teamsters, you name it, AFM, the SAG-AFTRA. We've been meeting with all these people, setting up all types of contracts and stuff and negotiations and so on, so that hip-hop can have something. I mean, you hear all the time, we talk about hip-hop as a $10.5 billion culture. Oh, hip-hop is $10 billion. Oh, it's the most streamed music. Oh, it's the most this, that, and the other. But again, none of us getting this money. None of us. I don't care how rich you are in hip-hop, you ain't feeling that 10.5. Others are getting that money. And why are other people taking our money? You ever think about that? Like, just think about it. Some people think about it, but they have no answers. So they just stop thinking about it. They say, I ain't thinking about that shit. How can you be the #1 urban culture in the world and the inhabitants of that culture are poor people? How is that possible? Well, it ain't going to be like that for too much longer. Not on my watch. Knowledge reigns supreme. Okay. So the first thing we got to do is realize, first, you are worth $10 billion. First. Hallelujah. We got something to work with. You are worth $10 billion in the world, in the country. You're worth $10 billion. Think about that. What somebody could do with what a culture could do with $10 billion annually, too, by the way. Every year, 10 billion, 10 billion, 10 billion. That means that we have 30 billion over the last 30 years. Who's getting that money? Well, the solution is the reason others are able to exploit us is, first of all, they're unified and organized. That's the first thing. We, disunified, unorganized. We're still dealing with dumb shit. Oh, he said that. I'm going to cancel him. She wore that. I'm going to cancel her. They don't like me. I don't like that. Bullshit. This straight bullshit. While others who may not like each other, but are in agreement that they should be exploiting hip hop, they're taking your money. They don't like each other either, but they set up treaties and contracts and agreements that says, listen, I hate you. I'm in competition with you, really. I want to see your whole company fail. But there's an industry that we're in, and there can't be a monopoly, so there got to be 1 or 2 or 3 of us around here. So let's work out something, Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's. Listen, I'll diss you, Wendy's, and you get to diss me. And Burger King, you get to diss me, McDonald's, and I get to diss you in the commercial. It'll help us all. Now, it'll look like we're all warring together here, but really, all 3 of us are owned by one company. You ever see some, I don't want to go off the point, but I saw a business card. Somebody handed me a business card one time. It had something like it said like Accor Hotels. And then under it was like Holiday Inn, Comfort Inn, Motel 6, Hilton, like this one company owned all these hotels. You running around thinking, oh, I don't want the Motel 6. I want the Hilton. It's the same company getting you. You don't know. I don't want Applebee's. I want Red Lobster. It's the same company. And this is how they doing us. They organized. We not organized. Why we not organized? Because we have no spiritual cohesive. Didn't we go over this last week? We went over this last week. Spiritual cohesiveness. A set of principles that we know define us. This is what we know defines us. We're not going past this. If you go past this, you're not us no more. So we're going to stay in this. This is the us right here, these principles. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. That's us. We don't have that. Think about this for a minute. African Americans in particular have no constitution. Every other ethnicity in this country has a country that has a constitution that says this is what we are. Every ethnicity, every culture in America, okay, has a religion. They come from other countries with their religion to the United States. Every culture can say this was our root religion right here. It comes from my father and my mother. And look at these people. They look like me, right? Right, yeah. Asian culture look like Asians, right? Yeah. Indian culture look like Indians, right? Yeah. But you get to the African American. Even African culture, the deities of African religions look like Africans. But you get to African Americans. We worship it. Everybody God except our own. We adhere to everybody's laws except our own. We're connected to a white racist constitution. U.S. Constitution is white and racist. I'm not criticizing nothing. This is what it is. It's white and it's racist from its core. We know what that is. It's white supremacy on paper. But black folk are going along with it. You know, oppression is two ways. Somebody has to come and oppress you, and then you have to agree with the oppression. You have to submit. Well, here we are now submitting. African Americans don't have nothing. Nothing. Think about that for a minute. No constitution, no land, nothing. So when you create something called hip hop out of your own genius, there's no military to protect your trade. There's no team of lawyers to protect your intellectual property, to argue for your property. What happened is we create hip hop. This thing was like a diamond. It's like finding oil. We struck the oil in our own selves, in our own environment. We struck oil. Oil sprouted up. But we had no way of capturing it. The oil just kept coming out of us. And we kept saying, yo, look at this oil. This oil is coming out. But everybody else grabbed their cup and grabbed their bucket and grabbed their thing and captured our oil. Now they rich off our oil. Oil coming from us. We are hip hop. And hip hop don't come from no place else but right here. Okay? We're it. $10 billion of oil coming out of us. We're not getting it because we're too busy. The oil's coming out of you. The oil coming out of me. Why your oil blue and my oil green? Why my oil green and his oil black? Why his oil black and his oil white? Keep talking that dumb shit. While other people with the cups, they got their cups out, they taking your oil. Keep talking dumb shit, nigga. Keep talking dumb shit. Yeah, let me get this oil. We over here. Yeah, I'm the best MC and I'ma rock the world. I'm the best. Why they scoop your oil on the side here? You the best MC, no doubt. But you can't feed your children. You can't transfer nothing of your greatness onto your children or onto the future generation. Everything you did was for the moment, like a dog. Like a dog. Animals live like that. They don't think about tomorrow. They don't think about yesterday. You could punch a dog in his face. An hour later, the dog's right back there. Long as you got a bone, long as you the source of some sort of food, you know, dog's a man's best friend. I would add to that, a dog is a man's best friend until he's hungry. Then that same best friend could get eaten, okay? Say what? So many stories of that. But my point is this. While we talk dumb shit, while we sit there and waste time and money, others are coming organized, unified, with a spiritual cohesion amongst their own community. They come to us armed with their God, armed with their banking system, armed with their universities, armed with their health care. We naked out there like our ancestors was, just out there naked. Yo, what's up? It's just us. We eat from day to day. That's it. Well, them days are over. Them days are over. Hip hop has realized itself. And here's what we got to do. Not to give away too much of the plan in this open forum, but I've already said this, so I'm going to say it again. Only those with high consciousness can even understand it. So I'm going to say it. The way in which we get out of this situation is first, using the analogy of a cup, we got to make our own cup. You got to find a way to put a faucet on your own creativity. It can't just be the oil just sprouting up. Nah, we got to put a cap on that and a faucet on it so you get what you're supposed to get and the faucet goes off. And we save our oil. And we have reserves of our oil. You see. Now, how do you do that? The reason everybody else is getting 10 billion off our culture is because they have places to capture the wealth of the culture. They have places, they have buildings, they have distribution, they have means to capture wealth. We don't have a means to capture wealth yet. Our means of capturing all the wealth back to us again is Hiphoppia. This is it. Hiphoppia, our city. Hiphoppia. Hip-hop's city is the place where that 10 billion comes to. That 10 billion is floating around because frauds, fakes, and exploiters, they know we don't have no central base. So when you kill a culture's central base, or if a culture continues to exist without a central base, everybody else can just come and pluck the trees. You can just take the fruit trees and uproot the roots, and nobody's gardening. There's no central place. The place is not called something and a group of people saying we are this. So everybody else that got that, our culture is, the wealth of our culture is just falling into their cups. They're not even taking really. Some are, but others, most, are not even taking our culture. Our culture is just so magnificent and so pouring out that all you got to do is hold your cup up. It's like rain. It's like rain. Imagine if you could make it rain. And when it rained, everybody put their basket out. But because you were the one doing the dance to make it rain, you never got to put your basket out. This is the analogy of hip hop. We're the rainmakers. But if we stop dancing, the rain stops, nobody eats. But as long as we dancing and doing the rain dance, the rain falls, but nobody goes and says, none of these cultures, by the way, who have existed off of hip hop, have ever come back to us and said, you know what? It's been 30 years. Our culture has benefited. Look at our children. Look at the industry. Look at the music. Look at the art. We've benefited by what you guys did in the Bronx. Here's 30 billion back from the Indian government, from the government in India, okay? Because they love hip hop, but ain't giving nothing to it. Ghana, love hip hop. Ghanaian government ain't giving up nothing. Ethiopia, Egypt, go anywhere, go to Europe, Germany, France, anywhere. No, they're smiling in our face and robbing us from the back. And if you can't see this, then you're not in a leadership position. I'll say that respectfully. But those of us in leadership, how you going to let other nations take your property, make billions in their land, and give you nothing? No taxes, no nothing, not even a commission. They just feel that they could just take from us, use it, and that's it. Nobody's going to do nothing. Not even the United States government don't even protect us because they robbing us too. But guess what? All of this has to happen for a divine culture to be born. Do you hear me? All of this has to happen for a divine culture to be born. See, all the governments of the world got to be ripping you off. All the businesses got to be exploiting you. You got to be alone in the world. People taking your stuff. That's when God shows up. Yeah. Happens in everybody's book, right? Bhagavad Gita, same way. Torah, New Testament, you name it. Whatever book you want to read. God shows up to the oppressed. God shows up when there's some insurmountable odd that you cannot deal with, but yet you have a purpose that needs to be met by the universe. And so God shows up for you. And God has showed up for hip hop crazy. Because here now, the plan. Hiphoppia, once hip hop sets up its center, its place, all this other stuff becomes devalued. Meaning like radio stations say, this is the home of hip hop. After the 50th anniversary of hip hop, that's going to sound real stupid. That's going to sound real stupid. Like it's going to show you a thief. Because the real home of hip hop is 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. So how you as a corporation gonna now say the home of hip hop, where hip hop lives, on your radio station? We might be able to sue for slander. And we're gonna get our money up. And we're gonna get our attorneys up. It's not the mission right now. We little right now, and no doubt I'll speak humbly while we're small. But when we get our guns, we're gonna use them. We're gonna use them, okay? All this exploitation of our culture, finished. We open a city. This is what we do. We start a city, a little spot, where all the wealth of hip hop comes to the spot. Where hip hop has its own way of capturing its own wealth. We never had this. This is what we need. Everybody else got a way to capture wealth in the world. And we're just one of the wealths in the world that their body of their organized body can capture the wealth. They have cities. They have corporations. They have schools. They have all these places, these institutions, where the wealth of a culture is put back into the institution. Hip hop doesn't have that yet. sadly to say, too, for the Universal Hip Hop Museum, that they're part of the exploitation. If I may just be honest about it, they part of the exploitation. Nothing for the pioneers, nothing for hip hop's true teachers, nothing in terms of musology even. You know, musology, the science of musology, or exhibitry. Some books say exhibitry. How to put on an exhibit and for what reason? What are you trying to do? These guys are following no rules, no laws, and those that know the rules and know the laws, you're not even listening. So what are you doing? Well, what are you really doing? And I say this respectfully because anybody I criticize or any group that I criticize, I'm willing to help. Hand stays open. Hey, man, if you need some help, I see these areas that we could fix. We're still shucking and jiving and talking bullshit. Still. So the temple of hip hop rises and it says, listen, all the childishness, we're going to let that be where it is. We know what we are here to do and we're going to do it. So we're going to establish Hiphoppia, move forward now. You know, we've been talking to Mayor Ras Baraka out there in Newark and his brother, his chief of staff, Amidi, his nickname is Midi. I was trying to say Amir Baraka Jr., who's the his partner there in the mayor's office. Been talking to them too. Been also talking to councilmen and the councilman. I just got off with the councilman for the district, for the Weekway district that we're actually in the section that we're looking to transform into Hiphoppia is the Weekway section of Newark, New Jersey. And that section of Newark, New Jersey is already hip hop. It's just not organized and unified. So the idea is to set the temple of hip hop there in the Weekway section of Newark, New Jersey, so that we can begin to train the inhabitants in the area, train the citizens of the area, how to receive global people, how to receive the world into this area. We're going to turn Weekway, or really Newark, New Jersey, but let's just say the Weekway section of town, we're going to turn that into Hiphoppia. We're going to turn that into a tourist destination. God is so great and with us because right there, the Weekway section of Newark is less than a mile. Do you hear me? Like maybe 5 blocks even, you could say, away from Newark International Airport. Newark has an international airport, by the way. Newark is a no-joke city, too, by the way, okay? There's a lot of issues there. There's some problems over there. We know that. And that's why we're there, to fix the problems. That's why we're there. So we know what's going on, but this rehabilitation. Newark has an international airport. Yo, if you're listening to me in Africa right now, gee, you could get on that plane and land in Hiphoppia. Newark International Airport is in Hiphoppia. Do you hear me? You're not hearing me. It's like less than 5 blocks away. The airport, big airport, okay? It's already poised for the world to come. It's already poised. The area is waiting for hip hop to come to it and restore it. And when hip hop restores the area, we're able now to capture our 10 billion, really all of it. We will take all of it because it's ours. And it's not even take all of it. Once we have an organized body, an organized place, all of it just comes back. It falls into the hole that it belongs in. There'll be no reason for us to take anything. The world will say, well, that's not hip hop. That's some fake shit. Real hip hop is over here. Real hip hop, where Redman at, where Method Man is at, where Lord Finesse and DOS Effects, and where the real is at over here. Okay, over here's where Rakim is. Over here's where Big Daddy Kane is. Over here's where Salt and Pepper is. Over here's where MC Light is. It's all over here. And by the way, these names I mentioned are already in support. So imagine our culture united in a hip hop city, in a hip hop temple. This is the fortification that we need to protect ourselves and preserve ourselves. This is what we need. This is what we need. So I'll take this time right now to just thank everyone who has been in support of the Temple of Hip Hop. First, those who just been rolling with us and speaking that word of mouth. That's what we dealing with. Oh, hold up. Okay, I froze for a minute. Word of mouth. Word of mouth. That's what we do. We don't have $40 million to go buy CNN. We don't have that. We have word of mouth. We have the culture. And the culture's been talking amongst itself. And that's all we need. We're not trying to advertise everybody. No, the culture has to talk amongst itself and know what is going on in itself. And the culture of hip hop knows exactly what we doing. Knows exactly what we doing. Everybody's buzzing and talking about this right now, even as we come up on that this 50th anniversary. Let me talk a little bit about that too before we get into our read. So the 50th anniversary, this is another cup. There's another cup. Everybody trying to say, oh, we're celebrating Hip Hop 50. We're celebrating Hip Hop 50. We're celebrating Hip Hop 50. And now just wanting to get into the business because it's Hip Hop's 50th anniversary. We're seeing a lot of that too. But shout out to the promoters that have been holding down hip hop for the 50 years, at least in the last 30, last 20, last 10 years. There's some really dope promoters out there that keep us all fed, keep us all paid too. Dope names out there. I'm not going to mention everybody right now because they don't want their numbers blown up. But at the end of the day, there's some really good managers, promoters, publicists, executives that did hold hip hop down, and struggled right with the artists, right with the culture when we weren't in positions of power. And I shout all of them. You know who you are too. You know who you are. And I shout you out as well. Bring a peace and a prosperity to your house and to your family as well. We're doing this for you too. We're doing this for hip hop's managers as well. Those that work behind the scenes, the club promoters, those and many have just got put out of business, by the way, but still got hip hop in their heart. We ain't forget about you. Just because you paid us one time and now you're out, we like, oh, well, that's just the business. No, it's not. We remember that time you paid us when we didn't have nothing. And you gave us a show. You allowed us in the building. You put our name on the bill. Well, there's a lot of those promoters that want to still get back in the game and can't now because these big conglomerates are buying up all the little spots and you can't even get in a spot now. Well, we're about to change all that as well. We're going to be opening spots that are government supported. Do you hear me? We don't need to do the corporate support anymore. We're just going to go into abandoned neighborhoods like Beat Street was. We're going to do our culture. Go back and watch Beat Street. We're going to do that. We're going to take an abandoned building, abandoned block, and beautify it like we did the Bronx. We the artists. We the music. We the dancers. We the DJs. Okay? We could go in any neighborhood and turn that shit into 10.5 billion. And that's what this is about. That's what this is about. It's franchised, you know. The city is franchised. You didn't hear me. The city is franchised. Newark is the first one. We hope we can get through this because, you know, there's all kind of opposition. But we fighting forward to make that a hip-hop city. But what about Camden, New Jersey? What about Philly? What about Philadelphia? You know, what about Atlanta, Virginia? I mean, come on now. I'm out here in the West. You know, I was going through the desert because remember, those who remember years ago, I said the city was going to be on the West Coast. because we got sunlight. We needed a solar and wind city as well. We want to be powered by solar and by wind. Large part of our deal was going to be on that. So we out here in the desert looking. Needlessly, we know God said, nope, right there. Boom. Newark, New Jersey. That's what it's going to be. In the cold, too. Damn. How we going to do that? Well, God changes the weather. You're not hearing me. Did you see the winter that New York and New Jersey said? They don't even have one. I mean, what? They might be going through some cold weather now, but they didn't even have a winter. The earth is heating up. And it's not all man's fault either. Keep that in mind, too. You know, these emissions and stuff and all this stuff, it definitely adds to it. All these chemicals going up in the air. But no, the earth has a way. The earth has its own cycle. Sometimes it gets hotter. Sometimes it gets colder. The seasons change. The magnetic fields in the earth change. The earth is changing. We already passed a new millennium. The earth is supposed to change. It's supposed to grow. And it's supposed to continue to do its thing. You got to change with it. And that's really what it comes down to. So I say this to say, the 50th anniversary of hip hop, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. That's called our sacred space now. That's called a sacred space. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. That's our sacred space. We're going to put a light exhibit there, but really that's a Mecca space. You come there to experience the original birthplace of hip hop. What I'm going to do is have the pioneers, while they're still alive, write their names on the ceiling of 1520 of the community center. Write their names on the ceiling, and then leave certain panels of the ceiling open for others who would like to invest to put their names up as well. Those investing, substantial money, 5 G's, 10 G's, into the upkeep of 1520, get to put their name up on the ceiling of 1520. And everybody who comes there looks up and says, wow, okay, these are the people supporting what's going down here. That's just one area of it, but it's really ceiling and wall that we're going to be working 1520, the community center with. There'll be an exhibit there. The walls will have definitely the history of 1520 will be right there. Fascinating history too, going back to the Native Americans. Really fascinating history where 1520 is. It's like on the side of a mountain. It looked like a mound was there. We're getting all this information now. But all of that will be on the walls and plaques and in videos, screen presentations there at 1520 around August, starting August 11th, 2023. We're going to be there doing that. There was some talk. I did put it out, but I'm negotiating it now, but I'll put it into the air. We'll do a little masterminding here on this call. Is that I was thinking of doing a march from 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx to 55 Ludlow Street, the Temple of Hip Hop in Newark, New Jersey. It's about a 7-hour walk. It's 22 miles, about 7-hour walk. And of course, we would walk, say, the first 4 or 5 hours, stop, maybe camp out. I don't know. See, we'll figure it out. Concerts, lectures, and then wake up, walk again. Like, we could walk from Bronx to Central Park, camp out in Central Park with concert and lecture, get up the next day and go walk into Newark, New Jersey, and walk into the Temple of Hip Hop with more concert and lectures. The Weekway Park is probably where we'll be, because that can hold tens of thousands of people. It's a huge park out there. We could all convene there. The march can go to the park, and so on. But the temple is there, maybe a block away from the park. So there was some talk. I was talking this up. I brought it by a few people, mayor's offices. They all love it and like it. But the idea now is actually how can we implement this? Do we have to shut down the Holland Tunnel to go through the tunnel? Or how are we going to get there? kind of thing, and walking, you know, maybe 10,000 people who want to do this walk with us from 1520 to 55 Ludlow or to Weekway Park. Those that want to do that peace walk with us, we got to work that all out. So that's what we're talking about right now, a march probably on August 11th or the day before August 11th or the day after August 11th. Either way, we're looking at that. There's also an idea to do this walk next year, meaning that we announce it on the 50th and then get all the logistics done. Right now, we can get it done, but I don't think we would have everything done. We would just have, you know, I don't know. We'll see how fast things can actually work. And I don't want to give away too much of it now, but it was actually a ritual that we was going to start that had to do with, we walked from 1520 to the Temple of Hip Hop one year, and then the next year walk from the Temple of Hip Hop back to 1520, and just keep going back and forth like that. See if it's even possible to do that. It's a disruption of the city. It's a walk. It's this, it's that. We're also promoting health. We want you to walk more, ride your bike more, kind of thing. Get off the phone, get out the car, use your body. So it's all of that's connected as well to a walk, to a city walk as well. So there was that. So 1520 Sacred Space. We're talking about a march. Also, you know, we have the apartment there. I'm not giving away my apartment number because I don't want nobody there. No, we're actually just renovating an apartment also at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx as well. We'll use the apartment more as an office, and even if guests, people who come through as well, will be able to use the apartment as a stopover and so on. But it most likely to be an office for the Temple of Hip Hop. Like I said to you, our official address was always 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. You want to know where the Temple of Hip Hop is? The address is 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. That's our address. And so we now have an apartment there. Their official address is there, not just the community center downstairs, but we have an apartment upstairs there as well. Those Temple members, dues paying members, will definitely have an opportunity to sleep there as well. It's a small apartment, so you know you got to work it out. But there will be opportunities, especially for the spiritual part of it, as a resort, as a retreat, to be able to visit the apartment, sleep over, get that experience. You know, sometimes I'll be having dinners there as well, and you know, private sessions, wine tasting, and watching maybe some sports or some lecture on TV. We'll be doing that as well within the apartment. The apartment is private, you know, but it's private to Temple members. You know, Temple members, dues paying members. I will say that. Let me also shout you guys out as well. Dues paying members, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know how this goes. You know, I don't want to give you the whole spew on the Temple of Hip Hop stance on donations and dues kind of thing. We appreciate every piece that you send forward. Many of you are volunteering. Thank you. Some of you have lowered your prices so that we can work. Thank you. Others of you are giving to the Temple of Hip Hop straight cash. I thank you for that. As you can see, you see where that money's going, and that's where it's going. It's going toward us doing this. And more than ever now, your dues and donations are going to go right into 55 Ludlow and 1520 as well. But 55 Ludlow is our bigger responsibility there. You know, we own that space, you know, and we're managing 1520. My good friend JC owns the space. John Crotty owns the space. But nonetheless, we own our space in Newark, New Jersey, and that's where your dues are going, or some of them, you know, going there, you know. So any little bit you can give the Temple of Hip Hop at this hour is greatly appreciated, greatly appreciated. As you know, I'm paying for everything out my pocket. I don't beg. Even when I was homeless, I ain't begged nobody for nothing. I work for mine. I believe in work. I work for mine. But this is a community effort. This is not a one-man thing. This is a community thing. And if we don't have enough in us to give to our own community, then you're just not part of the community. I don't even know any other way to say that. Like, you know, here we are trying to do something, and you may have $5 to give. You may have $10 to give. You may have a G to give, and you want to hold it back. Why? And still say you hip hop, or still say you Temple of Hip Hop? You know, that's why I thank those that came forward and said, no, I'm putting my money forward, and substantial amounts of money too. I thank you for that. Times are hard out here right now for a lot of people, okay, to come forward with your thousands of dollars. Some of you have given thousands of dollars to the Temple of Hip Hop. We thank you for that. We thank you for that. And now you could see also where that money's going, or where that money's gonna go. We have a whole building to renovate. When we get to April, I'm here in California now, so, you know, I got to do these shows, which is what I'm using to pay for almost every word out my mouth, okay? I take my money, my show money, my lecture money, savings, whatever it takes. We're going to save this culture. We're going to protect our culture. Our kids are going to have something, okay? That's what this is about. But I say that to you just to put a period on those dues-paying members. Some of you have come here right now. Welcome. Our tour starts today. Some of you are here now. I'm waiting until tomorrow to do the official welcoming orientation. I did say I was going to do it today, but some of you are flying in tonight and tomorrow morning. So we'll have our official talk tomorrow when everybody's actually here. And so I thank the apprentices that are coming. And again, these are people spending their own money, coming forward to hear these lessons from the teacher, but also to be part of the apprenticeship. The apprenticeship opens you up to what it's like to live the hip hop lifestyle on the road. On the road. These are trade techniques that you don't get everywhere. This is part of what the Temple of Hip Hop will be teaching in Newark, New Jersey. Imagine young kids getting these kinds of skills. But anyway, the apprentices that are here now, most of the apprentices that are working with us right now, coming to learn with us right now, will be the teachers of the temple. That's why you're here. That's why we've read the Gospel of Hip Hop for 2 years. Okay, because we're studying how to become teachers. We're training ourselves to be teachers of teachers. We're going to teach teachers how to teach hip hop. So all teachers from around the world, some PhDs, some just out of high school, some drop out of high school, they're all coming to the temple, and they're going to learn how to become a hip hop teacher. That's what you're learning right now, if you're not wasting your time. If you're sitting here studying and being real about yourself, you're becoming a hip hop teacher, a certified hip hop teacher. You're learning from a certified hip hop teacher. So I mentioned this, all of this, to give you an idea as to what we're doing, why we're doing it, and when it's going to actually go down. Yes. I'm just looking over my notes real quick, and what I'm noticing is right. Yeah, that's it. That's it for these notes. These particular notes as well. You get the idea. You get the point. You get the idea. You get the point. The point and the idea is let me fix that. Right. The point and the idea here is that if we don't protect ourselves, who else is supposed to? If we don't make a way for our culture, like how long are we supposed to get exploited? Like how long is that supposed to happen without somebody making an effort to stop the exploitation? Well, we're making an effort here at the Temple of Hip Hop to stop the exploitation. We're not trying to take food out of nobody's mouth, but you're not going to take the food out of our mouths, which is what's going on. How can you be hip hop and be poor? That's impossible. Not now, maybe in the 70s, in the 80s, we wasn't a $1 billion culture. So right, you could be hip hop and be broke and be poor and be living in poverty. No doubt. But not after 30 years. Not after the new millennium. We grew. We developed ourselves. And nobody helped us develop ourselves either. We developed ourselves and paid every step of the way. We got exploited to learn the business. We developed ourselves through exploitation, racism, sexism, ageism, classism. Hip hop had to come through all of that to get to 10.5 billion. And now somebody else gonna take it? No, let's establish the city. Let's establish Hiphoppia so that our wealth is concentrated in one place. The whole world knows it. They'll come to that place, spend their money there, learn there, go out from there and bring hip hop's wealth to their culture correctly. Because everybody coming out of Hiphoppia to sell, to learn, to teach, to take our culture, you have to be certified. To take a piece of anybody's culture, you have to be certified by the culture. And usually that certification comes with some sort of a tax, a dues, or something. The culture gave you value. Now you're going to go to Thailand and teach the Thai people this valuable knowledge that's going to lift their communities up. So when the community gets lifted up, come on, kick back 10%. Kick back 20%. Don't just take. And like I said, I breezed over it, but like these governments, you just take. You're just letting your people rob other cultures and you don't say nothing. You don't want your culture robbed. I give the analogy all the time, how Cardi B got screamed on by India in particular because she did a rendition of Shiva with her as herself as Shiva. And they was like, nah, you can't take our culture and do all that. But Indians in India are taking our hip hop culture and doing whatever the hell they want with it. And nobody's saying that, not even Indian people. Now, come on now. We got to get this together. Like I said, I ain't picking on India. But Mumbai, you one of the biggest cities dealing with hip hop right now. How loyal are you to us? We freely gave our culture. You freely picked it up. Hip hop didn't start in Mumbai. Hip hop didn't start in Ghana. Didn't start in Ethiopia, didn't start in Egypt, didn't start in Libya, didn't start in South Africa, it didn't start in Greece, Germany, France. It didn't start none of them places. It started in the Bronx, in New York City, with dark-skinned Negroes like me who got their culture stolen and taken along with everything else. And so you're going to say you righteous and you stand before your God knowing that you're exploiting another group of people? Nah, it's time for the truth now. It's time for real spirituality now. And not picking on India, but you got this word called karma. Okay? What is karma don't work here now? Nothing, nothing works when it comes to hip hop. It's like everybody got all these laws and all this stuff, but when it comes to hip hop, none of that. No, we're just some other thing. Like we're just over here somewhere, and none of that works for us, right? Karma don't affect us. None of the universal laws affect us, right? We outside the universe, right? It's bullshit. At the end of the day, we got to take care of ourselves, and that's what this is all about. That's what the Temple of Hip Hop is all about, and that's what hip hop. That's what a hip hopper is all about. It don't matter where you from, wherever you from, wherever you from, wherever you from. If you in hip hop, This is the attitude you should be having. This is the attitude you should be having. I'm American. I'm from America. I'll be damned if I let another American disrespect my culture, hip hop. And you know my story. They tried in the past. They tried. Nah, you get laid down on your back for that. So at the end of the day, those who are serious about hip hop in other countries, check these dudes straight up. You see somebody fraudulently representing your culture? Check these dudes. Yo, what are you doing? Tune them into the temple of hip hop. Tune them into the 50-year history of this. And show them the errors in their ways. We cannot allow the exploitation of any culture and then claim we with God, claim we spiritual. No, you're not. You're a thief. And that's really what it is. So if you're not a thief and a colonist, then you'll recognize hip hop as the global culture that it is. We've earned this place now. So I appeal to other governments. Stop exploiting us. Start helping us. And start helping us in the United States. You see what we're going through, what our community is going through. Everybody like to say, you know, abolish the police, defund the police. But when somebody really questions them on that, they don't have no real answers. Hip hop has answers. Hip hop got answers. Oh yeah, when we say abolish the police, we know exactly what we're talking about. In fact, we are the first to make records about the situation. All these other cultures and music genres were going along with that. We the ones who explicitly came out, fuck the police, and Ren said it from the underground. Bad because of brown. What? That's come on. We the ones doing that. No other culture, no other genre. I can't say no other culture because the Black Panther Party of the 1960s and SNCC and even Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also has something to say about these racist police officers, no doubt. But as far as gospel, jazz, all this other stuff, you might have said one or two things, but it didn't reflect your whole culture. No, it did not. No, it did not. When it comes to injustice in society, that is hip hop. That's hip hop. The biggest mouths is hip hop. Anywhere you go in the world, somebody protesting. They ain't playing gospel. They're not playing jazz. They're not playing rock. They're playing hip hop. Lowercase. That's what they playing. Protest music, the protest voice of the world is hip hop. So now you call yourself standing on the right side of history? Call yourself a man or woman of God? Call yourself cultured? But can still go along with the exploitation of our culture? It's a contradiction. It's hypocrisy. And we're here to call it out. Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am your teacher, KRS-ONE. I got this book called The Gospel of Hip Hop right here. And every week that I read it, it becomes more and more real and more real. As we get to the end of our gospel, we walk into our temple and we sanction our sacred space at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx, y'all. This is it. We have a short read, and this is also a short deal. Probably take it up to the 2-hour mark and leave it at that. But I wanted to make sure we were clear, and I have in the record what our mission is, what our vision is, why we are doing what we are doing. And by the way, this is what I've been saying. You guys who have been studying with me, you already heard all of this. I'm just reiterating it, putting it down. There's a deeper plan. And you know what that is as well. We talk those things when we're face to face. But here in this open forum, you get this open forum lesson. So turn your gospel to 794. Wow, 794 pages. That's where we at, y'all. We read 794 pages of this gospel slowly. We're here at paragraph 419. Now, I told you that this section of the gospel is we broke up into 4 sections. And what gets me when I'm stumbling over here is that we're reading track 4. Okay, we're reading track 4, and we are getting ready to read our 4th lesson of track 4. Track 4 was broken up into 3 lessons. We're now reading the 4th lesson. And you know what, too? Let me hold on, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I'm lying to you right now. It wasn't track 4 that was broken up into 4 lessons. Hold on. It was actually the whole thing that was broken up into 4 lessons. Track 4 was broken up into 2 lessons. Sorry about that. Lesson 3 and lesson 4 is in track 4, right? See, my soul was even hearing that and had me stumbling for a minute. Let me just go back real quick. Yeah, track 3. Hold on, I'm just going back to verify something real quick. Okay. Okay, I got it. Let me just let me put you here. Okay, put you there. All right, let's do this. Let's read this because I'm gonna go back because I'm even looking here. I don't see lesson 1 and 2. And I know I put it in here, but I don't want to spend too much time on this now. I got to go back and look because I don't think I marked off 1 and 2, but I have lessons. I have 3rd lesson and 4th lesson here as well. All right. I'll get back to that. In my section here, this was a 4th lesson. But I don't see 2 and 1. I don't see lesson 1 and lesson 2. I have to go back and find that. But here I'm starting with 419. And the reason we break off these lessons, too, by the way, the reason we break off these lessons is because you'll notice that when you're teaching the gospel, you are a lot of these, we read the book straight through, but a lot of these lessons are not meant to be read straight through. They are lessons unto themselves. So as a teacher of this particular kind of knowledge, I have been pointing out throughout the book what the sections of lessons are within lessons. Like we have lesson, but then there's certain things that it's the way it's written. Is certain lessons you're supposed to stay here for a minute and you can contemplate on this. There's other books to get on this. There's all that type of stuff. So that's why we're breaking this up. So let me just read. It's only about 3 pages. We're actually going to read, and that's going to conclude the 4th. What's called track 4. Is actually going to conclude that. So here we go. 419. As the head of the Harvard. Oh, sorry. So what we're reading here today is we're creating nations. And last time we was talking about genes, and actually we were talking about race and the made-upness of race, the illusion of race, and how race was made up in the courts. We read that the last time we were studying this. Now we're going from race being created in the courts and immigration law to genes now. What is your race from a genetic point of view? And we come up with some fascinating ideas. Here now, paragraph 419, page 794, Gospel of Hip Hop. As the head of Harvard University's African American Studies Department, Professor Henry Louis Gates, famous PBS professor. Well, he's not a PBS professor, but you see him over there. Professor Henry Louis Gates found out after taking a DNA test to learn more about his heritage and ancestral family history. You know, it's funny here too. Let me just mark this. No, don't highlight this. But this is a piece of history, because this article that I'm getting ready to quote was the first time. See, now Dr. Gates, Dr. Henry Louis Gates has a whole PBS program on finding your ancestry. And he's went through a couple of celebrities and people and their ancestry, and, you know, shocked a few people. I saw the one with LL Cool J. There was one with Latifah. There's a couple of others. And he does everybody, actresses, actors, so on, some famous, some not so famous. But the first time he started to dabble into this kind of knowledge was after he took his own DNA test. This was the first time he said, I took a test, and this is what happened. Quote, I'm thinking I'm a Brady, or maybe I'm from Nigeria, and here I am descended from some white woman. It's incredible. This was from an article called In Our Blood, Newsweek, February 6, or should 6 February 2006. So in 2006, Henry Louis Gates swiped his cheek to get a DNA test, and it says, found out after taking a DNA test to learn more about his heritage and ancestral family history, quote, I'm thinking I'm a Brady, or maybe I'm from Nigeria, and here I am descended from some white woman. It's incredible. In the same Newsweek article, In Our Blood, this is the same Newsweek article, in Our Blood, writer Claudia Kalb points out that, quote, our blood holds the secrets to who we are, and increasingly individuals, families, and research scientists are using genetic testing to tell us what we don't already know, end quote. In today's age of genetic research, certainty of ethnic identity is now questionable, or rather, certainly not what you think. It seems that I am that which I think I am. I am what I have been trained or educated to be. I am my training. I am the story that I have accepted of myself, and such a story creates the character, values, and habits of my repeated lifestyle. But this approach to my self-identity is largely common knowledge and not based upon science. However, the repetition of my daily activities either strengthens my genetic code or it rewrites it. And this is science. New genetic information is pointing to new discoveries and theories pertaining to human evolution and why people do what they do. New discoveries in molecular biology are showing that different yet similar species from different sides of the earth will develop the same genetic solutions when confronted with the same natural challenges. This is interesting. How does this pertain to hip hop? It is now known that there are no new genes arising every time a new species arises, as Dr. Brian K. Hall, a developmental biologist at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, has pointed out, quote, basically, you take existing genes and process and modify them, and that's why humans and chimpanzees, can be 99% similar at the genome level, end quote. My observation is that if there are no new genes, If all that we need as humans already exists within us, that nature makes slight adjustments to an already set number of genes to confront certain environmental challenges, then hip hop might have always existed genetically, but our environment had to be such that our already existing hip hop genes could be switched on to confront our new environmental challenges. Hip hop seems to be a genetic response to oppression. Quote, a new field called Evo-Devo, Evolution and Development, which studies the diversity of living forms, is showing that embryonic development powerfully shapes evolution. This is from a few good, this is from a Few Genes, Life's Myriad Shapes, the New York Times, French edition, June 30th, 2007. What does this mean? The New York Times article by Carol Cusack-Yoon continues, quote, last year, Dr. Neil Shubin, an evolutionary biologist at the University of Chicago at the Field Museum, I love going to that museum too, reported the discovery of a fossil fish on Ellesmere Island in northern Canada. They had found tiktaalik, as they named the fish, after searching for 6 years. They persisted for so long because they were certain that they had found the right age and kind of rock where a fossil of a fish trying to make the transition to life on land from life on water was likely to be found. And tiktaalik appeared to be just such a fish, but it also had a few surprises for the researchers. Tiktaalik is special, Dr. Shubin said. It has a flat head with eyes on top. It has gills and lungs. It's an animal that's exploring the interface between water and land. But tiktaalik was a truly stunning discovery because this water-loving fish bore risks, an attribute thought to have been an innovation confined strictly to animals that had already made the transition to land. This was telling us that a piece of the toolkit to make arms, legs, hands, and feet could very well be in fish limbs, Dr. Shubin said. In other words, the genetic tools or toolkit genes, the genetic tools or toolkit genes for making limbs to walk on land might well have been present long before fish made that critical leap. The genetic tools to make fingers and toes were in place a long time. Lacking were the environmental conditions where these structures would be useful. He added, fingers arose when the right environment arose. Major events in evolution, like the transition from life in the water to life on land, are not necessarily set off by the arising of the genetic mutations that will build the required body parts or even the appearance of the body parts themselves, as has long been assumed. Instead, it is theorized that the right ecological situation, the right habitat in which such bold new forms will prove to be particularly advantageous, may be what is required to set these major transitions in motion, end quote. So, and let me say this here. What this is saying as well is that there are genes in you that are dormant until you're in the right environment. Then they pop out. They said that according to this fish tiktaalik, that human hands, wrists, feet, lungs were already present in certain fish before they decided to get on land. Now, this is interesting because if there are no new genes, well, let me read on. Could hip hop be genetic? That's the point here. Okay, could hip hop be genetic? Could it be that breaking, MCing, DJing, graffiti writing, and beatboxing are all part of our genetic reactions to the urban environments in which we live and lived? Could hip-hop be an ancient genetic response to the type of oppression and injustice we faced in the past and still face on a daily basis? A kind of survival skill, maybe. Environment seems to have a lot more influence over the evolution of human survival abilities than we think. And when I say environment, here I mean cultural environment, political environment, urban environment. According to today's scientific view, it is one's culture, one's environment. Remember, culture is an environment, it's a mental environment. According to today's scientific view, it is one's culture, one's environment that also helps to affect certain genetic responses to one's survival and further development as a human being. It seems that we and our new cultural environment, hip hop, are interconnectedly growing together. Did you hear that? We and the environment are one, and we're growing together. In fact, growing together. We are all affecting it, and it is affecting us all. In fact, the hip-hopper, and hip-hop, let me do this again. In fact, the hip-hopper and hip-hop's cultural development are indeed two aspects of the same response to urban environments. This is where you enlarge yourself right now. You are not just the body, you are the environment too. From this view, hip-hop seems to be a genetic response to the pressures of urban life. As philosopher and ordained minister Nancy Murphy of Fuller Theological Seminary, pointed out in a June 2007 International Herald Tribune article entitled "Science and the Soul, Descartes Loses Force," by Cornelia Dean. Quote, "All human capacities, once attributed to the mind or soul, are now being fruitfully studied as brain processes, or more accurately, I should say, processes involving the brain, the rest of the nervous system and other bodily systems, all interacting with the socio-cultural world." End quote. Elsewhere in the article, Dean points out that, quote, "As evolutionary biologists and cognitive neuroscientists peer ever deeper into the brain, they are discovering more and more genes, brain structures, and other physical correlates to feelings like empathy. Other physical correlates to feelings like empathy, disgust, and joy." They say they can find this in the brain. That is, they are discovering physical basis for feeling from which moral sense emerges, not just in people, but in other animals as well. Morals in animals. We argue all the time that morality is human. Man makes up morality, and humans do. Morals are a set of rules that we're all going to follow and study. That's what it's supposed to be. A set of rules that we're all going to, morals, a set of principles that we're all going to adhere by. Well, they said, if you go with the genetic approach and even the neurological approach, it says that, oh, here you go. That is, they are discovering the physical basis. You get this? The physical basis from which moral sense emerges. Not just in people, but in other animals as well. End quote. This type of observation has led me to consider the physical nature of spiritual reality and how such a nature may relate to the existence of hip hop itself. Is morality a physical thing? Can your environment affect your sense of moral judgment on a genetic level? Can environmental conditions affect you genetically? The evidence seems to say yes, 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 and of course, yes. So who are we really? Culturally, we are only our education. Culturally, you are only your education. We are the stories and the histories that we have been educated to accept and respect. But can we create and or recreate ourselves today? Yes. And the recreation of ourselves is the origin of our history. We could talk all day about the great civilization builders of our ancient heritage, but until we establish even greater works today than their ancient works of yesterday, how have we advanced the ancient heritage that we brag about today? If we cannot achieve greater civilizations than those of our ancestors, then let's finally face it, we are not of the same bloodline as those that have actually built cities and established civilizations, and we need to stop fronting about this. We're going to highlight paragraph 438. Let's highlight the whole 438. Without walking the walk, we degrade our ancestors every time we talk that talk about something they did that we can no longer do. Civilization is not a bunch of buildings and a marketplace. Civilization begins around a shared vision of a brighter future where everyone contributes to the peace and security of his or her neighborhood. Civilization is first a level of mental achievement. We must first be civil if we are to become a true civilization. In fact, it is our civility that creates the aura of our specific civilization. However, civility is largely based upon the laws human groups adopt for themselves and whether they abide by such laws or not. Highlight that whole thing. That whole thing could be meditated on. That's the building of civilization. Straight up. And it's coming off of a moral attitude, which says, why are we going to keep saying Imhotep and never build a pyramid? Why are we going to keep shouting out Mayan culture and the Mayan calendar and Mexican people still walking around crazy, can't do nothing these people did, okay? We're going to keep yelling, oh, the great French, the French Revolution, and French people struggling to even revolutions. Like, please, okay? Like, no. You're supposed, if you're going to call on your ancestors or at least align yourself with the history of your ancestors, you're supposed to be doing what they're doing. Or you bringing them down. You aligning yourself with a great history and you ain't great. That means you bringing the history down. But let me alert you. Those of you that are studying with the Temple of Hip Hop, you can say with pride, with your chest out, absolutely, and say, yo, I'm doing what my ancestors were doing. I belong to an ancient mystery school called the Temple of Hip Hop. These are philosophers here. We don't do religion or science. We do philosophy, the mother of them both. And so you hear, if you studying this, you're doing exactly what your ancestors did. And the results are going to be exactly how your ancestors express themselves. In that sense, we are no different. We are no different. Let me read on. Paragraph 439. In the United States, the whole concept of race and racial distinction, which underlies the identity of ethnic cultures, was largely created by the United States naturalization laws. This is because we're coming to the end of that whole point, just bringing that to you right here. Largely created by the United States naturalization laws. This is where race comes from. Laws which, according to Ian F. Haney Lopez, we were reading his book, have been, quote, shaped, have even, quote, shaped the physical features evident in our American society, end quote. Like, you know, they allowed certain people in that looked a certain way and others that didn't. They let a certain complexion into the United States and others they shut out. That's why we may look the way we look, and even the complexion of my skin. Although I have an ancient complexion, but do I? Or has this been created too? Okay, is this also created? As Mr. Lopez explains, quote, Mr. Lopez explains, quote, laws have directly shaped the physical appearance of people in the United States by limiting entrance to certain physical types and by altering the range of marital choices available to people here. What we look like, the literal and racial features we in this country exhibit, is to a large extent the product of legal rules and decisions. Race is not, however, simply a matter of physical physical appearance and ancestry. Instead, it is primarily a function of the meaning given to these. Okay, on this level too, law creates races. Let me say this one more time. I just want to say this one more time. Race is not, however, simply a matter of physical appearance and ancestry. Instead, it is primarily a function of the meaning given to physical appearance and ancestry. Race is race is the meaning that you are giving to a physical appearance or an ancestry. The physical appearance is not a race, and neither is the ancestry. The meaning that you're giving to this physical ancestry or race is the meaning. Is the race. The meaning you're giving to physical appearance is race, not the physical appearance. This is not race. Dark skin, nose, eye, lip, hair, that's not race. Race is the meaning you give to these. What does a guy with dark skin, nose, flat nose, lips, eyes, hair like my, what do you think about those type of people? That's race. On this level too, law creates race. Let's highlight this last paragraph. This is the last paragraph of this read, and we're going to highlight it, and you'll see why. The concluding point here is that as hip-hoppers, we can establish a new nation, a new tribe, even a new race. It's been done before, and we are positioned at this time to do it again. However, before the creation of our hip-hop nation, we as hip-hop scholars studying and building hip-hop as a sustainable community are going to have to re-examine our very existence as a people and above these arbitrary race distinctions, finally create and then define ourselves for ourselves. This would be the true history of hip-hop, the story of our triumphant self-creation. End highlight. And let's end that right there. Track 5 is where we're going to pick up next week. But I just want to say this part right here to you. Remember that this was written before 2009. Okay, and some of it was written before 2000. Okay, the ideas were in the 90s. These were all 90s ideas. But the book came out in 2009. We had the tweet, right? Da. Remember, this was written before 2009. And this is what I say when I say the teacher is teaching in real time, y'all. Don't watch me and just take this as entertainment. It's entertaining. It sure is. But don't just watch me. Don't just watch what's going on. Pay attention. What we're reading here is happening. It's not, I'm reading something that's never going to happen or never happened. I'm reading something that is happening right now. Right now, this is happening. Do you realize last week, 2 weeks ago, I drove to New York. I had no keys. As I drive out of New York, I have keys. I have the keys to 55 Ludlow, and I have the keys to the my apartment in 1520. When I come back from this California trip, I'll have the keys to the community center as well. Now, when I started, I talked about being a hip hop teacher. And I said, I mentioned all the teachers, all of my teachers. I hope that I didn't miss anybody. Shout out to Rod Digger. But right now, I have to be careful in my own mind to say, wait a minute, Chris, you are the master teacher. And not just because you're consistent in your teaching, but take a look. And the reason I say, yes, you are the master teacher, because you are. You're learning from the master teacher who has an apartment at 1520, teaches out of hip hop's birthplace, and now has his own temple, our temple, at 55 Ludlow, which sits in the center of our new city. When I wrote this, all of this was impossible. And I mean, the word is impossible. Like me telling you right now, there's going to be floating cars in our city. Ain't that impossible now? Let's get 10 years going. Let's look back on this in 10 years. And see if there's not some cars floating around. 10 years, the Tesla took it to another level, literally another level. Like, we don't know anything. So be prepared for everything. You don't know what's possible and what's not possible. So dream the impossible. You should go back and watch The Secret, the film The Secret, documentary on the use of your mind. And this is also, go back and watch The Secret. And they say within The Secret, if you're going to use creative visualization, which is a technique, creative visualization, I'm going to visualize my future and it's going to come to me. Creative visualization, positive thinking. The critics call it wishful thinking. They call it wishful thinking. In fact, Wonder Woman, 1984, made the villain of the film a positive thinker. Whoa, Hollywood is evil, okay? They made the power of positive thinking the enemy of Wonder Woman, okay? So a whole generation of kids watching this is like, nah, that's bullshit. You can't just think your way into this. And here I am, used to be one of them kids that didn't see the Wonder Woman movie. What I saw was Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind. What I saw was James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. What I saw was the Bible. What I saw was the mind, the capability of your mind and of your being, and what are you really, and where are you really? People are walking around, you don't know, you can do anything, but your mind's shut off. So you're a slave. You just work, you wake up, you work, you go back to sleep, you eat, you go to the bathroom, you wake up, you eat, you go work, you go back to the bathroom, you eat, you wake up, you go back to the eat. About 30 years of your life gone. 40 years of your life gone. You now turn 60. You now turning 65. And now it's like, damn, what did I do with my whole life? I drove a bus. I worked a job. I raised these kids. I did everything except work on myself. Now I'm 65 and I can't stand up straight. I'm having trouble breathing. I can't eat this. I can't go there. I can't. Why? Because nobody sat you down in front of your computer and turned on the temple of hip hop. And some dude named KRS-ONE wasn't in your face saying you can do anything. And the word is anything. Okay, no bullshit with that. Anything. As your teacher, I'm showing you. I'm showing you. I'm even so giddy with it. I'm even so stupid with this whole thing. Just for the fun of it, for the oomph of it, okay? I may say, yo, I want a Bentley. Just out the blue. Say, yeah, I want a Bentley. And let me apply the sciences of mind to this. And see if a Bentley don't see if you don't turn on this temple call and I pull right up. That's how real this is right now. And when you're in it, you gain the enlightenment. Revolution only works for those that participate. Well, enlightenment only works for the enlightened. You got to get into that enlightenment to experience it. Well, I'm not the richest rapper. I'm probably the poorest, come to think of it. I'm not the richest rapper out here. I'm the wealthiest. Big difference. Big difference. Riches is not wealth. Wealth is well-being. Well-being. Are you well? You ain't got to have $1 million to be well. You could have $2 and be well. And be well. Yesterday, Simone and I were trying to figure out what to eat. We can eat anything. All type of steakhouses going by, all type of fish, all type of this, that, and the other vegetarian stuff, Whole Foods right there around the corner, all this type of stuff. We figure out, what are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? You know, at the end of the day, he says, you know what? Let's just say you just eat a sandwich. Let's just eat a sandwich. You know, it's not about how much money you got in your pocket or where you can eat. It's about your well-being. You know, you could have $200, $300, $400 in your pocket ready to go sit down at Capitol Grill. Ooh, they will take your money. Capitol Grill sits you down. You spend $300 on 2 plates. Okay. Or you could take a handful of almonds, like 7 almonds, throw them in your mouth. And you get the same nutrients as that $300 meal. A handful of almonds is a whole food. Same thing with walnuts. These are whole foods. Black-eyed peas and rice. Whole food. You can just eat that and be good. Handful of cashews. Cashews not a whole food, but you can eat. You can get your protein and fats and stuff like that. Cashews, down. But walnuts and pecans, these things, heart healthy. Get your heart going. Get your liver going. Get your kidneys popping. Get going. These things work. These things work. And I'm not telling you what I read. I'm not telling you what I read. This year, I'm coming up on 58. Okay, I'm 57 now. I'm coming up on 58. I feel good, y'all. I feel great. Okay, I feel great. And I'm out here in Cali with the sun blazing. I'm about to get that vitamin D on me. But actually, I'm lying because the rain is out here. It's actually raining. Actually, so hopefully the sun will come out and I'll get that vitamin D. But nonetheless, I'm here in sunny California. and feeling good, really feeling good about myself and about my health. Because remember, it's not just about what you eat, it's how you think, it's how you feel. You know, wealth is well-being. How do you feel about yourself? Even if you're sick, like right now you're going through some kind of sickness, still feel good about yourself. Still feel good. That's what's going to help you get well. Don't just dwell on the sickness. See yourself past it. Remember the last time you were sick and something happened and you overcame it. Put that thought on your mind. The body is resilient. The body will heal you from anything, really. Give it the energy it needs. Drink more water. Lessen the salt, the sugar, the dairy, the flour. Drink more water, a little less alcohol. You know, come on, you know what it is. It's in the gospel too. We outline a diet in the health section. You may want to take a look at that. But I say all of this to say that you are the master of your life. And I'm using this as an example, saying, look, we're going to walk into our new city. Hope to see you there. We got hotels to build. Imagine that. We got to build hotels. Like, do you understand that? Like, we got to build hotels. I mean, does anybody want to get into that business? Like, you know, we have to repair cars. It's a city. Okay? We're talking about a high school. The mayor is trying to build almost, you don't want to say a hip hop high school, but it's almost like it's a film school, actually. It's a whole film. See, I can't give it all away right here. But Newark is on its way up, and you want to be on the ground level of a city going up. You don't want to be after the city done gone up and the rents are high. Now you want to come talk about a hip hop city. No, you want to be there when the crackhead is on the corner. That's when you want to be there. You want to be there when the prostitute's up in the block. You want to be there when it's dirty and garbage. That's the dopest place to be. Right there, that's where we want to be, where the crime is. That's where we want to be, because we hip hop. We ain't afraid, okay? We want to go right there. Boom, brothers, sisters, here's what's going down. And if you come with a plan to any neighborhood, you transform it. And I'm going to show you this right now with the Weekway section of Newark, New Jersey. It's called Hiphoppia, y'all. And this is the Temple of Hip Hop. So next week, we will continue with track 5 and conclude our read. We have a long way to go with track 5. Track 5 talks about the Black Power struggle. Some of the other times we tried to create our own cities as well. We're going to talk about that, like Black Power struggle. Come off that. We end in that area because Black folk have tried this before and botched it up as well. Liberia as an example, Sierra Leone as another example, other parts in the United States where you would think African Americans, having been enslaved themselves, would finally get freedom and know what freedom means. No, we went and got freedom and went right to Africa. You know, Liberia, which is supposed to be liberation. Liberia, the name has to do with freedom. And we're supposed to be going over there free. This is when America said, go back to Africa. We will repatriate you to Africa. And they started this thing called Liberia. And African Americans or Africans that were in America and were formerly enslaved and all this bullshit, they went over there to Liberia, and guess what? Started enslaving the Africans that were there. Started treating the Africans. They thought they were white people. They started treating the Africans like the way white folk treated them in America. The whole thing was stupid. But we got to learn from our mistakes. Sometimes these things happen so that you can learn and not repeat them. Sometimes things have to happen for you to have a real evidence of it and say, no, we're not going to do that anymore because we have real evidence of it. It's not an idea. This really happened and we can't go back there. So we're going to read through that track 5 next week about the other attempts at nation building. And that's going to also close the gospel. Well, actually, the shout outs are what closes the gospel. But as far as knowledge is concerned, that closes the gospel. We're now down to our last lesson, the last one, as far as the book is concerned. And you should have a smile on your face like I have on mine, that you've achieved something. You've achieved. You've read the whole gospel. That alone is an achievement unto yourself. Whether you acknowledge it or not, your soul knows it now. Your soul is ready, and you will grow from here. The seed that you placed in yourself will grow from here now. That seed will grow from here now, and you will experience the same things, if not greater things, than I'm experiencing now. I hope you're watching your teacher. I hope you're watching. We're not just talking. This is full real, okay? I got 5 shows to do. Shout out to LA and San Diego and Sacramento and San Francisco and the Bay and Oakland, or really the Bay, but Oakland, shout out. San Francisco, shout out. These are the areas we're coming through hard. We're coming through hardcore. And we're going to blaze these people so stupidly. It's not even funny. We're just going to crush. When we come through, it's just going to be mayhem. And it's breaking MC and graffiti or DJing. Tell a friend they need to get a ticket. If you never saw hip hop, or if you never saw an MC express hip hop, you might want to get to one of these shows. And these are KRS shows. These are not shows that I'm on with other artists. So they cut my time and no, I'm there. And that's it. And we're just going to get it in. And it's over. So, and the temple's there. And we're going to be training live on the stage. Some of y'all fronted last time in Europe and in England. I was looking for you to get on the stage and spit your rhyme. You know, we go through all 9 elements. So we had to get to that stage part and so on. But we're going to see what's happening today. Actually, I'm sorry, not today, within the week as this thing goes down. So there it is. There it is, y'all. That is the Temple of Hip Hop. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And remember, you are not just doing hip hop. You are hip hop. I'll see you guys next week. I'm out. Son One, if you want to take over or crush this line, I am officially good. And blessings and peace and blessings to everyone in the sound of my voice. I'm going to wait for Son One to come on, and then I'm going to just go into bliss. Just go into a blissful state right now. Actually, I'm running to Whole Foods. So there it is. I can't hear you on this contraption that I'm on. So I'm going to cut off and go on to another contraption, but you'll probably be off by the time I actually be able to touch all these buttons and so on. But that's what it is. I'll see you later on today. Peace to the God.
Yeah, I don't know why. Okay. Let's get back into the swing of things. Peace and much love to everybody. I am Minister Son One. I was just going off about Jay Bess, who's hitting me up right now, let me know that my mic was off. But yeah, no, he inspired me to get down on these West Coast beats. And so we're gonna see what is really going on out here at these shows coming up, as Teacher had mentioned. So many beautiful, wonderful things happening in hip hop for the Temple of Hip Hop specifically. And this is our time. Teacher always says most people don't know when they're in history until it's too late. with us having that knowledge and knowing that, we can't be that. So uh, we are in history, hardcore, right now. We are on the world stage. Everybody is paying attention to us. Everybody is looking at us, watching us. I know some of y'all saw some people popping in and out of this broadcast in the chat to let you know that the entire culture is watching what we're doing and really cheering us now, hoping that we do exactly what we say our intention is to do. And as you all know, that's exactly what we're going to do. We have an actual physical edifice now, beautiful facility, a place that you can go, um, that you can feel as your own, as a member of the Temple of Hip Hop, as a member of hip hop's international culture itself. We're just getting started. And what we plan to do in Newark, in the Weekway area, and really Newark as a whole, everybody's going to be amazed. And we're going to advance hip hop's culture. So far, or the solidification of hip hop truly being forever is in stone. Um, and you got to know where it came from. This, well, and not just this, but this hardcorely in 2009 set it off. this right here, my G, really to stop the violence movement and all the movements. A caring teacher that cared for his people, cared for his culture, cared for what he was a part of, to give himself and give his life, in a sense, to manipulate his being around actually structuring the culture, as he had mentioned, being the architect. That's not poetry. Shout out to poetry. It's a great song. But no, this is real. This is reality. And as you know, this is an important time. This is an important time to place yourself in certain places, to become the vision of the future self that you've always envisioned. Now is the time. And that's funny because that's a quote from Dr. King's speech. I have a dream. He keeps pointing out, now is the time. And we're heeding that time. Now is hip hop's time. And right, I can't give too much away. I can't give too much away. But be proud of yourself. Be proud of what you're a part of. Don't do your best to not let yourself down. Do what you need to do. Learn what you need to learn. Hip hop is becoming one of the most, if not the most important thing on this planet right now. Those who know hip hop, and I'm not talking about the music genre, I'm talking about the living of hip hop. It is the most important thing on the planet. If you can grasp it, if you can get it, you will advance yourself, exist longer, be in prosperity, be in the spiritual graces of God, all of the above. And it's a beautiful time to exist. So, with that, peace and much love to you all. I could literally go on for hours, but I'm not gonna. So, I got these beats to make and this organizing to do. Uh, the mind can make happen whatever it visualizes, as teacher was saying. You can visualize what you want to happen and it will actually happen. There's proof. The teacher has shown you proof. Be your best person. Forgive somebody. Tell your mother you love her. Tell your father you love him. Brother, sister, aunt, uncle. All the above. Call a friend that you haven't been in contact with lately. Make sure that they're okay. Try to help somebody that you don't know. Be a representative of hip hop in the world, and you'll get a result that does reward you. And not that you're doing it for a reward, it just comes with the territory. So, peace and much love. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We believe in preserving the actual hip hoppers themselves. That in order for hip hop to actually be forever, you have to actually preserve the hip hopper and make sure that they end up in that forever. Peace and much love to you all. Have a wonderful day.